It's not often we see two icons who are pitted against each other eventually come together, put their differences aside, and collaborate for the greater good. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade were drafted in the same class in 2003. They competed for Rookie of the Year honors as well as battled throughout the Eastern Conference for the first 7 years of their career. When LeBron became a free agent and chose Miami as his destination, the two individual powerhouses would come together to achieve the same goal. The same can be said of Michael Jackson and Prince. The two were the biggest superstars of the 1980s. There have been several times throughout their careers where the pair had come very close to working with each other, however, nothing would ever prevail. Here's why Michael Jackson and Prince never worked together. In late 1984, Harry Belafonte planned an American benefit single for American Famine Relief and organized the best singers of the generation together. The proceeds from the single would be donated to a new organization called United Support of Artists for Africa, USA for Africa, in short. Belafonte would call Ken Kragen, who got Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers involved. Belafonte also phoned Stevie Wonder and Quincy Jones, who in turn enlisted Michael Jackson to be involved. Jackson insisted on helping write the songs with Richie. The benefit single was titled We Are the World. Recording sessions took place in late January 1985, and in addition to Jackson, Richie, Jones, and Wonder, Tina Turner, Billy Joel, Diana Ross, Willie Nelson, Bruce Springsteen, among several others, were included on the track. In the past, it's been revealed that Eddie Murphy was also invited to be on the song, but declined due to his involvement with his 1985 single, Party All the Time. Murphy said that once he found out what We Are the World was, he felt like an idiot. One 1980s heavyweight who was notably absent would be none other than Prince. According to sources, there are a variety of rumored reasons why Prince was not on the We Are the World single. According to an article from the Evening Independent published in April 1985, it is said that Bob Geldof, who was also involved in the project, called Prince a creep in a Rolling Stone magazine story. This is one reported reason why Prince declined. Harriet Vidal spoke to Evening Independent and offered her take on the rumors that surrounded Prince declining We Are the World. The thing with Prince is that he doesn't talk to the press, so the press writes whatever it wants. Everyone was saying Prince backed out, but that's not what happened. He never agreed to be in the session in the first place. One critic implied that Prince's ego was too big to sing on a group project. Lionel Richie knew how impactful having Prince on the record would be, but even he wasn't able to convince him to be involved. I sat on the phone with him for the longest time. I said, Prince, we're all down, waiting on you. He says, can I do it in a separate room? I would love to tell you that that's different from anything else he's ever done. That's just Prince. Of course, he's not going to be at a group of singers at a time when we want him to show up.
And then I made the worst mistake. I said, listen, I'll put you right next to Michael.
Wendy M., guitarist for The Revolution, told her story in the book Let's Go Crazy. I wasn't allowed to say the real reason Prince didn't show up, because he thinks he's a badass and he wanted to look cool, and he felt like the song for the We Are the World was horrible and he didn't want to be around all those motherfuckers. Another source coming from a Jet magazine article from February 1985, Lionel Richie's publicist Ken Kragen was disappointed that Prince did not participate. He revealed that there was supposed to be a special part in the song that involved Michael and Prince singing to each other. The single video and album were expected to bring in between $50 million and $200 million. But Kragen felt that they would have generated even more money and would be more marketable if Prince were involved. Kragen did say that Prince called and offered to send a guitar track. That guitar track was called For the Tears in Your Eyes, for the We Are the World album released that same year. After the release of We Are the World in 1985, Michael began preparing the release of his follow-up to Thriller, and expectations couldn't have been higher. Thriller is the best-selling album of all time, selling over 70 million copies since it was released in 1982. With his follow-up to Thriller, Barbra Streisand, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Prince were rumored to be on the new album, and that didn't help lower anticipation either. Of course, none of the duets with the previously mentioned artists would happen for the Bad album, but Prince was the artist who came the closest to officially collaborating with Michael at the time. Bad is a song about the street. It's about this kid from a bad neighborhood who gets to go away to a private school. He comes back to the old neighborhood when he's on a break from school, and the kids from the neighborhood start giving him trouble. He sings, I'm bad. You're bad? Who's bad? Who's the best? He's saying when you're strong and good, then you're bad. In a 1997 interview with Chris Rock, Prince was asked if there was ever a rivalry between Prince and Michael Jackson. Prince responded, you know that Wesley Snipes character? That would have been me. Here Prince was referring to Snipes, who made an appearance in the Bad video. Prince continued, now you run that video in your mind. The first line in that song is, "Your butt is mine." So I was saying, who gonna sing that to whom? Because you sure ain't singing it to me.
And I sure ain't singing it to you.
So right there, we got a problem. According to Prince, not only did he turn down the video, but he re-recorded the sample Michael gave him in an attempt to make it better. A member of Prince's band confirmed this. Prince couldn't believe Michael had the nerve to call it, "I'm bad." He was like, there's nothing badass about him. He could not let Michael get away with it. Not only was he not going to sing it with him, he went into the studio and re-recorded it to what he thought it should be and sent it back to Michael. Like, no, and by the way, this is what it should be. That was the end of that, but that's how Prince was. The idea of having Prince and Michael collaborate was that of Quincy Jones. He wanted to put the two superstars up against each other before they would ultimately come together towards the end of the video. In a 2018 interview with GQ, Quincy Jones revealed that he invited Prince to Michael's house to talk about the project. Well, we sat at a table that held 24 people at his house. Family table, I said. Michael, you sit over there so he doesn't feel like we're ganging up on him. It started off funny. Michael said, "I've never been to Minneapolis." Prince said, snapping angrily, "It's Minneapolis." Oh God, man, this is not going to go too well. Then Janet went by. Prince said, "Relax your lips, girl." And it was not going well, that's for sure. Then we went upstairs and he saw the chimpanzee and the snake. He said, "Now that's interesting." And then he says to me, he doesn't need me on this. It's gonna be a hit anyway, which is true. When Prince rejected a song, he proposed an entirely new song for them to work on together. This time Jackson declined. The song that Prince proposed was "Wouldn't You Love to Love Me?" When Jackson declined, the song was sent to Tasia Seville. The song would appear on her debut self-titled album, released the same month as the Bad single. Now, when Wesley Snipes appeared as a guest on Conan O'Brien's talk show in 2017, Snipes told the audience that he beat out Prince for a role in the Bad short film. Me and Prince were auditioning together, and I blew Prince out of the water. Prince was actually considered the lead character in the Bad video, and then Michael met me.
And then kick Prince to the curb.
Michael really thought I was in a gang. He didn't know that I was a trained thespian. At the time, the great Michael hadn't spent very much time in the hood.
So the question is, are you bad or what?
Leave me alone.
I said,
leave me alone! I'm tired of you messing with me! Stop it!
The Bad music video would be the first time Snipes was seen on such a global scale, as a song and its accompanying music video were a huge success.
And this was Wesley Snipes' first acting part, so I cast him in this piece.
In 1994, years after the release of Bad, Prince and Michael Jackson got together and spoke. The two were to discuss the possibility of recording a song together. Again, the two talked for hours before Prince left. Unfortunately, a song between the two still was not recorded after this meeting. It's still unknown what was said in the meeting between Prince and Michael to this day. Michael Jackson and Prince were subject to comparisons throughout their entire careers. Many chose sides over which artist they preferred, but most would have loved to see them on a song together. Michael reached out to Prince on several occasions, but unfortunately Prince never thought the songs Michael sent in were fitting enough. In return, Prince offered a different song, but they never saw eye to eye. It's no secret that both artists were protective and perfectionists when it came to their music, so it's not surprising that they couldn't come to terms. Both have an entire catalog of unreleased and unfinished songs in their personal vaults. Fans both can only dream of what a Prince and Michael Jackson song would have sounded like.